Try this reading comprehension practice question. Here's the passage to read. And of course, the first step is to read the first question before we engage with the passage. Once we've read the first question, it's time to press pause, read the passage, and then get ready to answer the questions. This sentence calls out two specific attitudes: the United Nations one-size-fits-all attitude, and the attitude of member states to care first and foremost for their own citizens. The problem these attitudes led to is the hoarding of rice so that Indians living in poverty could have subsidized rice and the Indian government could meet the Millennium Development Goal of eradicating hunger. You might have been tempted to pick that last sentence, but this sentence expresses actions rather than attitudes. Let's take a look at question 2. The passage says that the one-size-fits-all approach can create difficulties for countries with certain religious considerations to bear in mind, but to say that policy recommendations would be offensive to some people goes too far to be supported by context. Answer A is not correct. The passage never mentions how many countries are on track to meet the goals. If you're interested in international development, and you know from your own studies that this is a true statement, you need to be careful not to select this answer. Remember, every correct answer is supported by the text, never by outside knowledge. The question clearly states that the answer must be inferred from the passage. Answer B is not correct. The passage does mention price and global economic manipulation, but just because a country chooses to engage in unethical conduct doesn't imply that it must do so. The word only in this answer is not supported by context. Answer C is not correct. The passage mentions that the Philippines suffered because of India's actions and that people in the Philippines couldn't afford rice for a while. However, the passage doesn't say that because of the rice fiasco, the Philippines will not be able to eradicate hunger. There's no support for this answer. The last two paragraphs in the passage specifically discuss how the global economy was complicated by India's approach to meeting the Millennium Development Goals. This answer has clear support. Answer E is correct. Let's take a look at question 3 now. The second paragraph says that the United Nations has limited means to enforce compliance. India didn't need to ban all exports of rice because, as the last sentence says, it was producing more rice than it needed. The final paragraph also says that the decision to ban exports was decried by impartial economists from around the globe. If the United Nations could have influenced India to take a different approach, perhaps the whole rice fiasco could have been avoided. Also notice the use of might not have rather than wouldn't have. Weak answers are hard to disagree with. This answer might be difficult to find support for. Remember, sometimes the easier approach for reading comprehension questions is to eliminate the answers that are completely wrong. If you can't piece together the proof for this answer, look for reasons to get rid of the rest. Answer A is correct. The author reveals a little tone in this passage because he says the case of India and the rice fiasco was astounding and peculiar. Although he doesn't overtly take a side on the rice fiasco case, these adjectives imply that he probably wouldn't legitimize India's actions. Answer B is not correct. The entire last paragraph and description of the rice fiasco lends support to his opening statement, but the particular sentence in question has no relationship to that statement. Answer C is not correct. This answer may be true, but there's more related to meeting the Millennium Development Goals than just the availability of rice. This answer is too broad to be supported by the sentence in question. Answer D is not correct. The entire last paragraph and description of the rice fiasco lends support to his discussion of the global economic balance in the third paragraph, but the particular sentence in question has no relationship to that discussion. Answer E is not correct. The correct answer to question 3 is A. Now on to question 4. The sentence in question is a hypothetical statement about a potentially negative consequence, not a recommendation. Answer A is not correct. While the sentence does describe a possible negative outcome of our highly interconnected world, the author never indicates that we should try to reduce our level of interconnectivity. Answer B is not correct. The sentence in the question is hypothetical, so it cannot serve as specific evidence. Answer C is not correct. The sentence in the question is hypothetical, so it cannot serve as evidence. Answer D is not correct. The sentence in the question sets the stage for the entire last paragraph, which describes a real-life scenario of the hypothetical presented in this sentence. Answer E is correct. The correct answer to question number 4 is answer E. And now on to question 5. Although the passage says that the Philippines is a net rice importer, which means it can't grow enough rice to feed its population, we cannot make any inferences about the actual quantity of rice consumed in that country. Answer A is not correct. The last sentence of the passage says that India grows more than enough rice to meet the needs of its population. The Philippines, on the other hand, must import rice to feed its population. This answer is supported. Answer B is correct. Since the eradication of hunger is a Millennium Development Goal, according to the passage, for India not having a rice shortage is an advantage. It may not be sufficient to completely meet the goal, but it's definitely an advantage. The Philippines does not have this advantage because it must import rice. Answer C is correct. The correct answers to question 5 are B and C. Finally, let's look at question number 6. The two general statements in the passage are here and here. The idea they support is the first sentence of the passage, here. The final paragraph describes the specific example that draws from the two general statements. Answer A is correct. This answer is not comprehensive enough because it doesn't include any information about the first two paragraphs. Answer B is not correct. The author never makes a recommendation, so answer C is not correct. There's no solution for the problem of negative impacts on the global economy, and so there's nothing to dismiss. Answer D is not correct. The passage does describe an initiative and one reason that it has not yet been successful, but it doesn't give several specific reasons. Answer E is not correct. The correct answer to question number 6 is answer A.